The desert didn't sleep. Atticus Mercer learned that the hard way, somewhere between sundown and the death of his fire. He'd been riding alone for 3 days, cutting across a stretch of land most maps didn't bother naming, just a smear of dust between one dying town and another. The kind of place where the wind carved its own roads and buried them again by morning. His horse, Juniper, was nervous the entire ride, ears twitching, breath uneasy, as if something rode alongside them, just out of sight. Atticus chalked it up to coyotes at first. He stopped at dusk, built a small fire, and tethered Juniper close. The sky stretched wide and black, spilling stars like salt across a skillet. For a while, everything felt still, peaceful even. Then, Juniper started to whine. Not a neigh, not a snort, a low, trembling whine that didn't belong to any horse Atticus had ever known. "Easy," he muttered, rising to his feet. His hand drifted to the revolver at his hip. "Ain't nothing out there." But he didn't believe it. Something moved beyond the firelight. It wasn't the movement that set his teeth on edge. It was the silence that came with it. No crunch of sand, no shifting brush, just the suggestion of something passing between shadows. "Show yourself," Atticus called out, voice firm but thin around the edges. For a moment, nothing answered. Then, from somewhere behind him, Atticus, his blood froze. It was his brother's voice. Caleb had been dead for 6 years, shot through the chest during a botched robbery that Atticus still saw every time he closed his eyes. Slowly, carefully, Atticus turned. There was nothing there, only darkness and the soft crackle of dying fire. "You're hearing things," he whispered to himself. But Juniper wasn't convinced. The horse pulled against the tether, eyes wide, foam gathering at its mouth. And then the voice came again, closer this time. You left me." It wasn't quite right. The words were right. The voice was right. But something about it felt stretched, like it had been learned, not lived. Atticus drew his gun. "I buried you," he said, louder now. "Whatever you are, you ain't him." Silence. Then, a shape stepped into the edge of the firelight. It was a man. At least, it tried to be. Tall, thin, wrapped in something that might have once been a coat. Its face. God, its face looked like Caleb's, but wrong. The skin hung loose, as if it didn't quite fit the bones beneath. The eyes were too wide, too bright, and the smile stretched too far. "You remember," it said, voice cragging like dry wood. "You remember how he screamed?" Atticus fired. The gunshot split the night. The figure jerked as the bullet struck its chest, but it didn't fall. It didn't even flinch. Instead, it tilted its head, studying him. Then, it laughed. It wasn't Caleb's laugh. It wasn't human. Atticus didn't wait for a second shot. He grabbed his gear, cut Juniper loose, and swung into the saddle in one motion. "Go!" he shouted, digging his heels in. Juniper bolted. The desert blurred around them as they tore through the night, the wind clawing at Atticus's face. He didn't look back. He didn't want to see it keeping pace, because something was. He could hear it. Not hooves, not footsteps, just movement. Fast, fluid, closing in. The voice came from his left now, then his right, then ahead of him. Juniper skidded to a halt, rearing up with a terrified scream. Atticus nearly fell from the saddle, and there it was, standing in their path. But it wasn't Caleb anymore. Its body had changed, longer, thinner. Its limbs bent at angles no living thing should manage. Its face, God, its face kept shifting. Caleb's features flickered in and out like a reflection in broken glass, replaced by something pale and stretched and hungry. "You run," it said. but you carry him with you. Atticus steadied his gun, though his hands shook. What are you? The thing smiled wider. We are what remembers. It took a step forward. Juniper panicked, trying to turn, but the thing moved faster, blurring across the sand, appearing beside them in an instant. Atticus fired again and again. Each shot hit. Each shot did nothing. The thing reached out and touched Juniper's neck. The horse collapsed instantly. No struggle, no cry, just stillness. Atticus hit the ground hard. The breath knocked from his lungs. He scrambled back, dragging himself away as the thing loomed over him. Up close, it smelled like rot and dust. "You left him to die," it whispered, its voice now a chorus. Caleb layered with something deeper, older. "You heard him beg." "I couldn't save him," Atticus said, choking on the words. "We were surrounded. I had to." "You ran." Its face shifted again. Now it wore Atticus's own features, perfectly. "You always run." It crouched beside him, tilting its head in mimicry. "Show me," it said. "Show me how you do it." Atticus didn't think. He grabbed the knife from his belt and drove it upward with everything he had. The blade sank into the thing's throat. For a moment, everything stopped. The creature froze, its borrowed face inches from his own. Then it slowly reached up and pulled the knife free. No blood, no wound, just smooth, unbroken skin. "You try," it said softly, and then it moved. Pain exploded across Atticus's chest as claws, no hands, but wrong, dug into him. He screamed, twisting, kicking, fighting with everything he had left. Somehow, he broke free. He ran across the open desert, bleeding, stumbling, blind with terror. Behind him, the thing followed, always just out of reach, always letting him think he might escape. The sky began to lighten. Dawn crept over the horizon, pale and cold. Atticus's legs gave out as he reached a cluster of rocks. He collapsed against them, gasping, his strength spent. The thing stopped a few feet away. It watched him. The shifting had slowed now. Its form settled into something closer to human, but not quite. "Why don't you finish it?" Atticus rasped. The creature considered him. Then it smiled. "Because you're not done yet." It gestured toward the horizon. In the distance, a town sat nestled against the rising sun. Smoke curled from chimneys. Life, people. "You'll go there," it said. "You'll tell them stories. You'll try to forget." It took a step back, retreating into shadow. "But I won't." Its voice softened, almost gentle. "I'll walk beside you. I'll wear their faces, their voices." The smile widened. "And one day, you won't know which of them is me." The wind picked up. Sand swept across the rocks, and when Atticus blinked, it was gone. They found him hours later, half dead, raving, covered in blood that wasn't all his own. He told them what happened. Some believed him, most didn't. Didn't matter, because sometimes, late at night, when the town went quiet and the desert started to whisper, someone would hear a voice calling from just beyond the light, familiar, wrong, and Atticus Mercer would sit awake in the dark, revolver trembling in his hand, trying to remember every face he'd ever known, and wondering if he'd already let it in.